First, they told us Antifa doesn't exist. They said it's just an idea, nothing more. Then they told us, well, they do exist, but they're not an actual movement or organization. I mean, they've got no leaders, they've got no structure, and they certainly got no money. Well, guess what? They lied. And now the receipts are coming in. FBI Director Kash Patel just revealed the FBI is on the cusp of unmasking the entire command structure and funding sources behind Antifa. Make sure to stick with me to the very end of this video because we're about to expose the entire corrupt machine and how Trump's about to once and for all bring it crashing down. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. For years, the legacy media and Democrat politicians have pushed the exact same narrative.
There's no Antifa. This is an entirely imaginary organization. There is not an Antifa.
Like, I don't even know what Antifa is. There is no group.
It's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. Compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited.
It isn't an organization. It is in many ways mythology.
It's not like the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers, sort of defined terrorist organizations with leadership that leads violence.
It's not a highly organized movement. It's a moniker. It's not a unified group like the Proud Boys are.
Things like Antifa are things that are thought up.
It's all in this guise of going after Antifa, which is nothing. There's no organization called Antifa.
Nobody's a member of Antifa because it doesn't exist. They are just declaring into existence something that doesn't exist.
There is no Antifa organization, so maybe that's good for social media, but it really is non-existent.
They exist on the internet in chat rooms and in 4chan and Discord and places like that where they run discussion boards, trade tactics, documents, things like that. But none of them are called Antifa.
So as you can see, plainly, they're all reading off the same script. They're all got their same talking points. They all deliberately contrast Antifa with supposed far-right patriot militias. And they're basically telling their dwindling audiences to look the other way. Nothing to see here. Repeat after me. Antifa's just an idea. Antifa's just an idea. Nothing more. Antifa as an organization doesn't actually exist. Or if it does, it's purely decentralized, it's leaderless, and it certainly doesn't have any money. They've repeated these words like a mantra because they know if there is an organization, they know if there is funding, if there is command and control, then everyone involved can be held criminally liable. And that is where the Trump administration has changed the game by officially designating Antifa a domestic terrorist organization. Anyone associated with Antifa is now subject to some of the harshest penalties in the criminal code. Anyone who knowingly provides material support or resources to a foreign terrorist organization faces imprisonment of up to 15 years. And if the material support results in the death of any person, that penalty escalates to life imprisonment. Case in point, just days ago, 2 alleged Antifa members became the first to face federal terrorism charges for their role in the attack on the Prairieland ICE facility in Alvarado, Texas on the 4th of July. They both face life imprisonment if convicted. But the Trump administration is hardly satisfied going after these useful idiots on the ground. They want the real prize, and that is the ultra-wealthy leftists who are funding Antifa and providing the resources for the anarchistic antics throughout the country. And here is where things get explosive. Multiple investigations have traced the money, and what they're finding is a massive web stretching from state governments to billion-dollar foundations to full-blown foreign enemies. Here's Illinois State Representative Brad Holbrook announcing what his investigation of the funding sources behind Antifa just exposed.
Today we're turning our attention to a staggering amount of taxpayer money, over $1 billion, that's being funneled into political connected non-government organizations, or NGOs. This wasn't uncovered by government watchdogs, but concerned Illinoisans and Republican legislators that our grassroots effort we call DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency. The Human Services budget has been hijacked. It used to mean helping seniors, helping single mothers, and people with disabilities. Now it's packed with programs for politically aligned groups offering vague services like parent mentoring, immigrant support, LGBTQ advocacy, and many are race or identity-based initiatives that serve political agendas, not real need. Fourth, this spending undermines real charity. Faith-based groups and private charities are being pushed aside while politically connected NGOs scoop up taxpayer dollars. The government is picking winners and losers and rewarding those who keep the majority party in power.
So Representative Holbrook just uncovered over $1 billion of taxpayer money funneled through state agencies directly into left-wing NGOs under the guise of community support programs, right? It's just like USAID. They hide behind humanitarianism in order to fund massive far-left programs. They're not charities. This money flows to illegal immigrant support groups, far-left LGBT advocacy groups, DEI, anti-racism training. It's all far left-wing political activism funded by you. And here's the kicker. The reason why they go through NGOs, the reason why the government sends money to NGOs is because NGOs are not subject to the Freedom of Information Act requests. There's zero transparency. You fund them, but you're not allowed to know what you're funding. You're not allowed to know who you're funding. You're not allowed to know what they're doing with your money. The budget language is deliberately vague, with grants buried under broad terms so lawmakers approve funding without actually knowing who's getting it or how it's being used. Meanwhile, genuine faith-based charities get pushed aside while politically connected NGOs scoop up taxpayer dollars. Now, the amazing news here is we've got the receipts. We know who's getting these funds, and we know who's writing the checks. And now we know who's next in line for prosecution. But all of this corruption is a stark reminder that we all have to make sure that we take the steps to protect ourselves and our loved ones online. And that actually begins with your home title. In today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. So it works like this. Criminals forge your signature on one document. They use a fake notary stamp. They pay a small fee with your county and boom, your home title has officially been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property. You won't even know what's happened until you get a collection notice or a foreclosure. That's why you need to stop what you're doing right now and find out today if you've already been a victim. And it's easy. Use promo code TurleyTalks at home. It's just one word, TurleyTalks, at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report, plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HomeTitleLock.com right now. Use promo code TurleyTalks, all one word. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code TurleyTalks. The two major sources for funding Antifa are reportedly George Soros's Open Societies Foundations and the Tides Foundation. Both funnel millions of dollars into an organization called the Alliance for Global Justice, which redistributes cash to groups like Refuse Fascism and the National Lawyers Guild that helps post the bonds for Antifa members who get arrested. The Tides Foundation alone gave over $1 million to the National Lawyers Guild from 2018 to 2019. And then there are corporate charitable donor-advised funds. And believe it or not, these are reportedly coming from the likes of Fidelity Investments and Schwab. Again, I kid you not on this. These investment firms pump tons of money to these tax-exempt charitable funds, which in turn write checks to Antifa support networks. And thanks to how they're structured, the real donors remain completely anonymous. In addition, there were reports that LinkedIn co-founder and Democrat mega donor Reid Hoffman has contributed significant funds to these organizations, as well as a shadowy Arabella Advisors Network that's funneled over $100 million to professional protest organizations. We're also getting reports that Neville Roy Singham, the ex-Microsoft executive who fled to China and maintains financial ties to the CCP. He's been living in Shanghai since 2023, and he's funneled at least $100 million to far-left U.S.-based protest groups while generating CCP propaganda. And it actually gets worse. A federal investigation found that Singham's funding also connects to an organization called the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City, who are now under federal investigation for prior knowledge of an assassination attempt on Charlie Kirk. So that group deleted all social media after, of course, the suspect in Charlie's shooting was arrested and then connected with them. And they reportedly have ties to terrorist groups in Cuba as well. So we're seeing an international element here of Cuba and China involved in this. And that's exactly what FBI Director Kash Patel has indeed confirmed, that there is an international dimension to all this. Nations like Iran, China, Cuba, and Venezuela want to destabilize the United States, and they see funding Antifa as key to that destabilization. Now, here's where this story gets really exciting. Thanks to President Trump, Antifa, of course, now has been designated as a domestic terrorist organization. That designation is not merely symbolic. It's the legal foundation that allows federal prosecutors to basically dismantle the entire network. So under domestic terrorism laws, anyone, and that's key, anyone who provides material support to a terror organization can be comparably prosecuted. So this means if you're writing checks or organizing bail funds or providing legal support, you are going down. You are culpable for their terrorist activities. And when you combine that designation with federal racketeering charges under RICO statutes, you can dismantle the very operations that are funding Antifa at the same time you're dismantling Antifa. So it's not just Antifa that's getting dismantled here. Now it is, at least potentially, Soros's foundations that are subject to the very same systematic dismantling by virtue of their providing material support to a legally designated terrorist organization. Don't forget, RICO laws were designed deliberately to take down organized crime syndicates. You don't just arrest street-level thugs here. You go after the bosses, the financiers, the enablers, anyone who profits from the criminal enterprise. And so it does appear that the two individuals tied to Antifa, who were just indicted on terrorism charges for attacking an ICE facility in Texas, they're just the beginning. And that's exactly what Patel is saying. They're just the tip of the iceberg in all of this. The days of Antifa and the Soros-like financiers operating with impunity are over. Trump designated them as terrorists. Patel is following the money. And justice is finally coming. Thanks so much for listening, gang. If you haven't already, be sure to head on over to turley.pub faith.com/news and sign up for our newsletter. That's where I share all the latest updates, behind-the-scenes news, and ways you can stay plugged into this growing movement of faith, family, and freedom. Big things are always in the works, and I want you to be the first to know. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, and God bless.